This is World Now. Ghana has held a solemn burial for 2 of the 8 victims of last week's deadly military helicopter crash. Former Environment Minister Ibrahim Mohammed Murtala and Deputy National Security Coordinator Alhaji Muniru Limuna Muhammad were laid to rest at a military cemetery in Accra following tributes from President John Mahama. The 6th of August crash, which also claimed the life of Defense Minister Edward Omani Buama, is one of Ghana's worst air disasters in over a decade. All 8 victims have now been identified through DNA testing in South Africa. A state funeral will be held on the 15th of August at Black Star Square as investigators continue to probe the cause of the crash involving a Z9 military helicopter. We're still in Africa and we are talking tech. The African artificial intelligence market is set to grow from $4.5 billion in 2025 to $16.5 billion by 2030. That's according to a new report. The study says AI is already reshaping sectors like agriculture, healthcare, education, energy, and finance, creating solutions from smart farming tools to AI-powered credit scoring and fraud prevention. MasterCard estimates up to 230 million digital jobs could be created by 2030. South Africa leads with over $600 million in AI venture capital last year, while Kenya's Silicon Savannah drives health and finance innovation. Nigeria is expanding AI in learning and microfinance, and Morocco is applying it in healthcare, energy, and agriculture. The report calls for investment in infrastructure, skills, and policies to ensure AI adoption is inclusive and responsible. Well, let's bring in Product Manager Direk Omokegbele, who joins me for more. Good to have you join us at this time. Thanks to technology, we can have this conversation while we're not together in the studio. So looking at this projection from $4.5 billion in 2025 to $16.5 billion by 2030, that is massive. What's fueling the expansion of AI in Africa?
So due to the investments, right, from foreign investors and, the different sectors that we have, the government sector, the healthcare sector, the education sector, and the opportunity that AI has to grow, right, like you rightly mentioned, AI is projected to have a market size in Africa of about 16.5 billion across Africa by 2030, and also create 250 million jobs by 2030. So there's a lot of opportunity in AI, and I'm seeing a lot of people and the government taking advantage of that, and that's what will lead to the growth that we would expect. And assuming that the government would properly invest in the sector, there's room for great transformation across Africa and having positive impact in Nigeria and also across Africa.
All right, we'll get to that in a bit, but let's talk about the job estimate. You're looking at about 230 million digital jobs that are projected to be created by 2030. But there are fears that for every new job created, at least an existing job is lost. So what do you have to say about that?
So I think that brings us to the era where we now need to advise and encourage people to up their skills, right? Because as much as AI is going to take over certain jobs, it will be low-level skills jobs, right? We'll still need AI coders, AI programmers, and some high-level skills to be able to proceed with AI. So as long as we have people upskill and learn more, I'm sure that people will be able to secure jobs in the future, and the low-level jobs would only be replaced by AI, not the high-skill level jobs.
And you'll agree that with AI, of course, comes responsibility. How do we, as a nation, as a continent, ensure responsible use of AI?
So that we'll need the government, because policies play a huge part in this kind of things, and as long as the government is able to put certain policies in place that would help and encourage the proper use of AI, right? Policies that would protect the users for their safety, right? And policies that would help prevent data being exploited, right? Because AI is going to be collecting a lot of data from the users. And as long as policies are put in place by the government, and then the government, the fintechs, the global partners are able to collaborate and, find a way that this whole thing could be optimized, I'm sure we'll be fine.
All right. And what role does the private sector play in all of this? Because we've spoken extensively about government.
Yeah. So the private sectors, I would say investment, right? And then also the private sector also controls or owns most of the fintechs, right? And fintechs also play a huge part in the use of AI, right? Especially in digital banking and digital banks in general, right? So the private sectors, of course, are responsible or obligated to work with the government and work in line with the policies that have been put in place, right? So they have that responsibility to make sure that all of these policies that have been put in place by the government are adhered to and followed strictly to enable a safe use of AI.
Derek Amakigbele is a product manager. Thank you very much for sharing with us about AI on World Now. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's move